The enigmatic founder, Helena Blavatsky's early life and spiritual quest. Helena Petrovna von Hahn was born in 1831 in the Russian Empire, now Ukraine. She came from an aristocratic family. From a young age, she displayed unusual psychic abilities. She also showed a profound fascination with the mystical and the occult. Her childhood was unconventional, filled with stories and a sense of otherworldliness. At just 17, she entered a brief, unconsummated marriage with Nikifor Blavatsky, a much older man. She quickly left him, demonstrating an independent spirit and a desire for freedom that would define her entire life. This early period clearly shaped her rebellious nature and her quest for the unknown. Following her departure from her husband, Madame Blavatsky, as she became known, embarked on decades of extensive global travels. The precise details of these journeys often remain shrouded in mystery. Much of what is known comes from her own accounts, which have been debated. She reported visiting Egypt, where she supposedly learned from a Coptic magician. Her travels took her through the Americas, both North and South, where she absorbed diverse cultures and spiritual traditions. She relentlessly sought hidden wisdom across continents. These extensive travels were absolutely crucial for her esoteric education. She famously claimed to have spent time in Tibet, studying with spiritual masters, experiences that were deeply formative for her later teachings. In 1873, Helena Blavatsky arrived in New York City. At that time, America was a vibrant hotbed of spiritualism and occult inquiry. Blavatsky initially immersed herself within this burgeoning movement. She aimed to demonstrate what she considered genuine psychic phenomena. Simultaneously, she was a fierce critic of the fraudulent mediums who were prevalent. Her personality was striking and undeniably charismatic. She quickly began to attract a circle of interested followers and potential collaborators. This period in America effectively set the stage for her major life's work, the introduction of theosophy to the Western world. A pivotal moment occurred in 1874 when Blavatsky met Colonel Henry Steele Olcott. Olcott was a respected lawyer, an accomplished agriculturalist and a keen investigator of spiritualist phenomena. Their paths crossed at the Eddy Brothers farm in Chittenden, Vermont, which was famous for its seances. Olcott, initially a skeptic of many mediums, was profoundly impressed by Blavatsky's apparent abilities and her vast esoteric knowledge. Their meeting was a truly fateful one, forging an immediate connection. It marked the beginning of a powerful and enduring partnership. Together they would champion a new spiritual philosophy designed to bridge ancient wisdom and modern thought. Forging a movement, the Theosophical Society and its core tenets. The Theosophical Society was formally established in New York City. The official date of its founding was the 17th of November, 1875. Helena Blavatsky, Colonel Henry Steele Olcott, and William Quan Judge were the principal co-founders. They were joined by several other individuals who shared a keen interest in occultism and spiritual exploration. The initial primary aim of the society was to study, explore, and explain unexplained phenomena. Its members sought to investigate the hidden laws of nature and the universe. The society offered a compelling alternative to both rigid religious dogma and the limitations of prevailing scientific materialism. The newly formed Theosophical Society quickly established three main objectives to guide its work. The first, and perhaps most ambitious, was to form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity. This brotherhood was to be established without any distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color. The second objective was to encourage the comparative study of religion, philosophy, and science, seeking underlying unities. The third objective focused on investigating the unexplained laws of nature. It also aimed to explore the psychical and spiritual powers latent within humanity. These aims were remarkably progressive and inclusive for their era. A significant development occurred in 1879 when Blavatsky and Olcott journeyed to India. They formally established the international headquarters of the Theosophical Society in Adyar, a suburb of Madras, now Chennai, in 1882. This strategic move to India was highly significant for the society's direction. It dramatically shifted the focus towards Eastern philosophies and spiritual traditions, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism. India was widely regarded in esoteric circles as the ancient cradle of profound wisdom. Blavatsky and Olcott aimed to help revive these ancient teachings and share them with a receptive global audience. Central to Blavatsky's teachings was the introduction of the concept of the Masters of Wisdom. These individuals were also referred to as Mahatmas or Adepts. Blavatsky consistently claimed to be their devoted disciple and chosen messenger. These masters were described as highly evolved spiritual beings, perfect humans from previous evolutionary cycles. They were said to reside in remote and inaccessible locations, such as Tibet or hidden parts of the Himalayas. Two masters, Maurya and Kuthumi, were identified as her primary contacts and teachers. They allegedly guided the Theosophical movement and provided the core esoteric teachings Blavatsky disseminated. Monumental works and enduring ideas. Helena Blavatsky's first major literary contribution was the substantial work titled. This extensive two-volume book was published in 1877. The work is a vast and sprawling exploration of esoteric themes and ancient mysteries. It mounts a formidable critique of the prevailing scientific materialism of the 19th century. It also robustly challenges the dogmatism and perceived limitations of established religious institutions. Delves deeply into the wisdom traditions of ancient cultures worldwide. It powerfully suggests a hidden universal truth underlying all religions, philosophies, and mythologies. The publication of this work immediately caused a significant stir and established her reputation. Her undisputed magnum opus appeared in 1888. This truly monumental two-volume work, later expanded with a third volume, is renowned for its profound complexity and vast scope. It purports to be based upon an ancient secret manuscript known as the Stanzas of Xian. Blavatsky claimed that these stanzas detailing cosmic and human evolution were revealed to her by the masters. The book meticulously outlines an intricate cosmology and anthropology. It describes the evolution of the universe and humanity through immense, cyclical periods of activity and rest, known as Manvantaras and Pralayas. Beyond these colossal works, Blavatsky also authored other influential texts designed for different types of readers. Published in 1889, presented core theosophical ideas in a clear, accessible question-and-answer format. This approach made many complex spiritual and philosophical concepts much easier for beginners to understand. In the same year she published. This is a deeply devotional and mystical work. It comprises beautifully translated fragments from what she described as a sacred Eastern text, the Book of the Golden Precepts. It offers profound ethical and spiritual guidance for those aspiring to the spiritual path. Several core theosophical concepts were systematically promulgated and popularized in the West by Helena Blavatsky. The central idea of theosophia, or ancient wisdom, is absolutely fundamental. This concept posits that a perennial philosophy, a core universal truth, underlies all genuine spiritual paths and world religions. She was particularly instrumental in introducing and explaining the Eastern doctrines of karma and reincarnation to Western audiences. These principles were presented as fundamental laws governing human destiny, spiritual development, and cosmic justice. Her comprehensive teachings also describe the septenary, sevenfold constitution of both human beings and the cosmos itself. Trials, triumphs, and a lasting legacy. Helena Blavatsky's life and work were not without significant and often bitter controversy. The Coulomb affair, which erupted in 1884 while she was in India, delivered a major blow to her credibility. Emma and Alexis Coulomb, who were former staff members at the Theosophical Society headquarters in Adyar, made serious accusations. They alleged that Blavatsky had faked various paranormal phenomena. Specifically, they claimed she had fraudulently produced letters purported to be from the Mahatmas. These damaging accusations were widely publicized by missionaries and the press. They cast a dark and persistent shadow over her reputation and the activities of the society. Following the highly publicized Coulomb affair, the Society for Psychical Research, SPR, based in London, launched an investigation. Richard Hodgson, a young Cambridge graduate, was dispatched to India to lead this inquiry. His resulting 1885 report was utterly scathing and condemnatory. It famously concluded that Blavatsky was one of the most accomplished, ingenious, and interesting impostors in history. This report inflicted severe damage on her public reputation for many years, and its effects lingered. However, it is important to note that decades later, the SPR itself acknowledged serious flaws in Hodgson's methodology and conclusions. Notably, Vernon Harrison's expert research in the 1980s thoroughly challenged the validity of the original report. Accusations of plagiarism also persistently dogged Blavatsky throughout her career and beyond. Critics meticulously pointed to numerous instances of unacknowledged quotations and paraphrases from other contemporary and historical texts within her major works. Her supporters, however, offered various counter-arguments. They contended that such borrowing was a common literary practice of the era, or that she was skillfully synthesizing existing knowledge into a new framework. Some also suggested she drew from a common, accessible source of wisdom, like the Akashic records. The very physical existence and nature of her masters remained, and still remains, a central point of faith for her followers versus deep skepticism from critics. Despite failing health and unceasing attacks, she courageously continued her monumental literary work. She spent her final years in Europe, Würzburg, Ostend, and finally London, writing prolifically until her death on May 8, 1891. Despite all the controversies and challenges she faced, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky's influence on modern thought has been undeniably immense and remarkably lasting. She played a truly pivotal role in stimulating Western interest in esoteric traditions, occultism, and comparative religion. Furthermore, she was instrumental in bringing Eastern religions, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism, to the wider attention of audiences in Europe and America. Her voluminous writings and the global Theosophical Society she co-founded significantly influenced numerous subsequent spiritual, philosophical, and artistic movements. Prominent figures such as the poet W.B. Yeats, the artist Wassily Kandinsky, and even the young Mohandas K. Gandhi acknowledged her impact on their thinking. The Theosophical Society in its various forms continues its work around the world today.